Picture this. It's early morning, you walk into your bathroom, lift the toilet tank lid for a quick check, and there it is. That thick, slimy, green layer clinging to the walls like it owns the place. It looks alive, it smells worse than you expected, and suddenly you're thinking, how long has this been growing in here? Now, here's the part that most people don't realize. What you're seeing isn't just dirt. It's buildup that can quietly damage your toilet over time. And today, I'm going to show you one simple trick that not only removes that green slime completely, but keeps it from coming back, even in tanks that are 20, 30, even 40 years old. And the craziest part, no scrubbing, no expensive tools, and no complicated steps. Now, before we jump into the trick, there's something you need to understand, because this is where most people go wrong. That green slime, it's not just random. It's usually caused by a mix of minerals in your water, low circulation inside the tank, and something most homeowners completely ignore: bacteria feeding on microscopic deposits. And if you don't treat the root cause, you'll clean it today and it'll be back next week. So what I'm about to show you isn't just a cleaning hack, it's a long-term fix. So let's start with the first step, but don't skip this because this is where the magic begins. You're going to turn off the water supply to your toilet. Sounds simple, right? But here's the key. Once you flush and empty the tank, don't rush. Take a second to actually look inside. Notice where the slime is thickest: the corners, around the flapper, along the water line. This is important because in just a moment, you're going to target these exact areas without even touching them. Now, here comes the trick, and this is where things get interesting. You're going to use a combination that most people already have at home, but they've never used it this way. Take white vinegar, plain, simple, nothing fancy, and pour it directly into the tank. Not a little, be generous. You want enough to fully coat the inside surfaces, and right when you think that's enough, add a little more, because what's about to happen next is what makes this method so powerful. Now, pause for a second, because this is where most people mess up. They pour vinegar and immediately flush. Don't do that. Let it sit. And I don't mean for 5 minutes, I mean give it time to work its way into that slime. Give it 30 minutes, even an hour if the buildup is heavy. During this time, something incredible is happening. The vinegar is breaking down the biofilm that holds that green slime together. It's loosening it from the surface without you lifting a finger. But we're not done yet, not even close. Now comes the second part of the trick, the part that most people have never tried. After the vinegar has done its job, you're going to add baking soda. And as soon as it hits that vinegar, watch closely. That fizzing reaction, that's not just for show. That's the moment the real cleaning power kicks in. It starts lifting the remaining slime, pushing it off the surfaces, and breaking it apart into pieces that can be flushed away easily. And here's the part that surprises everyone. You still haven't scrubbed anything. Now let it sit again, just a few minutes this time. And while you're waiting, think about this. How many times have you tried to scrub something like this clean? How much effort, how much time, how much frustration? And right now, it's cleaning itself. Now slowly turn the water back on, let the tank fill, and as it does, you'll start to see something incredible. That green slime, it's gone, or at the very least, reduced to almost nothing. And with just one flush, it disappears completely. But here's the part most people don't expect. This trick doesn't just clean, it prevents. And this is where we take it one step further. Because if you stop here, yes, you'll have a clean tank. But if you want it to stay clean, this next tip is everything. Once your tank is clean, drop in a small amount of vinegar once a week. Just a cup. That's it. You don't need to empty the tank again. You don't need to repeat the whole process. That small amount works silently in the background, stopping slime before it even starts forming. And here's something else most people overlook: sunlight. If your bathroom gets even a little natural light, that can actually encourage algae growth inside the tank. So if you've been dealing with this problem over and over again, this might be the hidden reason. Simply keeping the lid properly closed at all times can make a huge difference. Now, let me tell you a quick story, because this is where it really hits home. A homeowner, 70 years old, had been struggling with this exact problem for years. He tried everything, scrubbing, chemicals, even replacing parts of the tank. Nothing worked long term. The slime kept coming back, and eventually he just accepted it as normal until he tried this exact method. No scrubbing, no stress, just vinegar, baking soda, and a little patience. The next day, he checked his tank again, still clean. A week later, still clean. A month later, completely clear. And for the first time in years, he didn't dread opening that tank lid anymore. Now imagine that for a second. No more buildup, no more smell, no more embarrassment when guests come over. Just a clean, fresh toilet tank every single day. And we're still not done, because there's one final tip that takes this to the next level, and almost nobody talks about it. If you want to completely eliminate the chance of slime coming back, consider switching to a slow-release cleaning tablet, but not the harsh chemical kind. Look for natural or mild formulas. Drop one in the tank, and it will keep the water slightly treated at all times. Think of it as a shield, working 24/7, protecting your tank from buildup. But remember, this only works best if you've already done the deep clean first. That's the foundation. So now you have everything: the trick, the science behind it, the prevention, and even the long-term solution. And here's the real question. If something this simple can completely change how your toilet tank looks and smells, why hasn't everyone tried it yet? Maybe because they think it's too easy to work. But now you know better. And in just a few minutes, you can turn one of the most ignored, unpleasant parts of your bathroom into something you never have to worry about again. So go ahead, try it today. And when you lift that tank lid tomorrow, you'll already know what you're gonna see: clean, clear, and completely slime-free. Now, before you rush off to try this, there's something even more powerful you need to know. Because what we just did was remove the slime you can see. But what about the buildup you can't see yet? The kind that slowly forms behind the fill valve, under the flapper, deep in those tight corners where water quietly sits day after day. This is exactly where most people lose the battle without even realizing it. They clean once, feel relieved, and then weeks later, that same green film starts creeping back like nothing ever happened. So if you really want to stay ahead of it, and I mean completely ahead of it, you're gonna love what comes next. Let's go a step deeper, and this is where things start to feel almost unfair in your favor. After your first full cleaning, there's a simple habit you can build that takes less than 60 seconds, but changes everything. Each time you do your regular bathroom cleaning, maybe once a week, maybe every other week, lift the tank lid just slightly. Not fully, just enough to peek inside. What you're looking for isn't slime, it's clarity. Clear water is your sign that everything is under control. But if you notice even the slightest haze, even a faint tint forming along the edges, that's your early warning. And catching it at this stage means you can stop the problem before it even becomes visible. Now here's the part most people never think about: temperature. Yes, temperature plays a bigger role than you might expect. Warmer environments can actually speed up the growth of that green slime, especially in bathrooms that stay humid for long periods. So, if your bathroom tends to feel warm or slightly damp, you're naturally giving that slime the perfect conditions to grow. But don't worry, there's an easy fix. Simply improving airflow, like running an exhaust fan a little longer after showers or cracking a window open, can quietly slow down that entire process. It's one of those small changes that doesn't feel important until you realize how much it actually prevents. And now, let's talk about something that might surprise you: the water you're using every single day. Most people assume all tap water is the same, but depending on your area, your water could be carrying minerals that feed buildup inside your tank. Hard water, in particular, is one of the biggest contributors. Over time, it leaves behind tiny deposits that become the perfect surface for slime to latch onto. And once it starts, it spreads faster than you'd expect. But here's the good news: you don't need an expensive system to deal with it. Even something as simple as occasionally flushing your tank with a vinegar rinse, like we did earlier, helps dissolve those deposits before they turn into a bigger problem. Now, pause for a second, because this next tip is something almost nobody talks about, and yet it makes a huge difference. The parts inside your tank. Take a look at your flapper, the fill valve, the chain. These aren't just mechanical pieces, they're surfaces where slime loves to hide. And over time, if slime starts forming on them, it can actually affect how your toilet functions. Maybe the flush becomes weaker, maybe the tank refills slower, maybe you start hearing sounds that weren't there before. It all connects, so every once in a while, after doing your vinegar treatment, take a moment to gently rinse these parts with clean water. No scrubbing needed, just a simple rinse helps remove anything that's starting to cling before it becomes a problem. And now, here's where things get even more interesting. Let's talk about timing, because when you clean matters almost as much as how you clean. If you've ever noticed that your tank seems dirtier after long periods of not using the toilet, like after a trip or even just overnight, that's not a coincidence. Standing water gives slime more time to develop, so one simple habit can make a surprising difference: an extra flush, especially before going to bed or after returning home from being away. It refreshes the water inside the tank, disrupting that quiet buildup process before it gets a chance to grow. Now imagine combining all of this together: the deep clean you already did, the weekly vinegar maintenance, the quick visual check, better airflow, occasional rinsing of parts, and smarter timing. What you're creating isn't just a clean tank, you're creating a system where slime doesn't stand a chance. And once that system is in place, everything becomes easier. But wait, there's one more layer to this that most people completely overlook. The color changes, because green slime doesn't always start green. Sometimes it begins as a faint yellow tint, sometimes a light brown film, sometimes even a slightly cloudy appearance in the water. These are early signals, and if you know how to read them, you can act before the problem becomes obvious. So the next time you check your tank, don't just look for thick slime, look for subtle changes, because catching it early means you'll never have to deal with that heavy buildup again. And now, let me share something that might change the way you think about cleaning altogether. Consistency beats intensity. Most people wait until the problem becomes unbearable, and then they go all in: scrubbing, chemicals, effort, frustration. But what we're doing here is the opposite: small, simple actions done consistently that prevent the problem from ever reaching that point. It's easier, it's faster, and honestly, it feels better, because instead of reacting to a mess, you're staying in control of it. Now think back to that moment at the beginning, opening the tank and seeing that thick green slime, that feeling of "I really don't want to deal with this," that hesitation. Now compare it to what you have now: a clear plan, a simple method, and the confidence that you know exactly what to do. And here's the best part: once you've done this a couple of times, it becomes second nature. You won't even think about it anymore. It'll just be part of your routine: quick, easy, and effective. But before we wrap this up, there's one final insight that brings everything together. Your toilet tank is one of the most overlooked parts of your home. It's out of sight, so it's out of mind, until something goes wrong, until there's a smell, or a stain, or a buildup you can't ignore. But now you're ahead of that curve. You're not waiting for the problem to show up. You're preventing it from ever starting. And that's what makes this so powerful. So the next time you walk into your bathroom and everything looks clean and everything smells fresh and there's nothing hidden waiting to surprise you, you'll know exactly why. Because you didn't just clean it, you mastered it. And once you've mastered something this simple, it changes how you approach everything else in your home. Cleaner, smarter, easier. Exactly the way it should be. Now, before we close this out, there's one last piece that brings everything together. And honestly, this is the part that separates a quick fix from a permanent solution. Because by now, you've seen how easy it is to remove that green slime. You've seen how simple habits can stop it from coming back. But what most people still don't realize is this: your toilet tank is quietly telling you a story every single day. And once you understand that story, you'll never deal with this problem again. Think about it for a moment. Every time you flush, fresh water enters the tank, sits there and waits. And during that waiting time, anything left behind, minerals, bacteria, residue, has a chance to settle. Now, if nothing interrupts that cycle, it slowly builds, layer by layer, until one day you open the lid and see that green slime again. But what you've done today is completely interrupt that cycle. You've broken it. And once it's broken, it's incredibly easy to keep it that way. But here's something even more powerful, and this is where most people have that aha moment. You don't need to wait for slime to show up to take action. In fact, the real secret is doing just enough at just the right time so it never shows up at all. That's why everything we covered works so well together. The vinegar deep clean removes what's already there. The baking soda reaction lifts what's left behind. The weekly maintenance keeps the environment clean. The airflow slows growth. The quick checks catch anything early. And those small habits, like an extra flush or keeping the lid closed, quietly protect your tank without any extra effort. Now imagine this. Weeks go by, then months, and you decide to check your tank again, maybe out of curiosity, maybe just to see if it really worked. You lift the lid slowly, almost expecting to see something starting to form. But instead, the water is still clear. The surfaces still look clean. No smell, no slime, no buildup. And in that moment, you realize something important. You didn't just clean your toilet tank, you solved the problem. And that's a different feeling. Because it means no more guessing, no more trying random products, no more wasting time scrubbing something that keeps coming back. Just a simple method that works. And here's the truth. Once you experience that, it changes how you look at other cleaning problems too. You start thinking differently. You stop looking for temporary fixes and start looking for simple systems that actually last. And that's exactly what we built here today. Now, one final reminder. If you ever notice even the slightest hint of that green tint returning, don't ignore it. That's your early signal. That's your chance to handle it in minutes instead of letting it grow into something bigger. And now you know exactly what to do. No confusion, no hesitation, just action. And that brings us to this moment. If this helped you even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Because there are so many people out there dealing with the exact same problem, thinking it's normal, thinking there's no easy fix, just like you might have thought before today. Share this with someone who needs it. It could save them time, effort, and a whole lot of frustration. And if you want more simple, powerful home hacks like this one, ones that actually work, ones that save you time, and ones that make everyday life easier, make sure you stay connected, because this is just one of many. Now I want to hear from you. When you try this, come back and tell me, what did your tank look like before, and what did it look like after? I read those stories, and trust me, they're always amazing. And here's a quick challenge for you. The next time you walk into your bathroom, take a second, lift that tank lid, and check. Not because you have to, but because now you can. Because now you know what to look for, and more importantly, you know how to fix it. That confidence, that peace of mind, that's what this is really about. So go ahead, give it a try. And the next time you flush, you won't just hear the water. You'll know everything behind it is clean, fresh, and completely under control. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.